For 300 years, Earth was silent. Not a signal, not a ship, not even a whisper. The Galactic Union had long marked Sol as a dead system. The collapse wars, they believed, had ended humanity. Records were incomplete. Files were corrupted. What little history remained of Earth was buried beneath thousands of bureaucratic reports, filed away in forgotten archives. And so, in the grand halls of the Union, Earth became a myth. Until the signal came. It was weak, static-filled, hidden under layers of old encryption, the kind of code no one used anymore. It had taken a bored technician deep inside the Union's Mars relay station nearly a week to even notice it. The station was automated, run by old software and a few lazy drones. No one expected anything from Mars, not after all this time. The technician, a small gray-skinned alien named Varro, almost deleted the signal, but curiosity was a dangerous thing. Varro opened the file. Inside was one line of text, written in what the translation software called Old Terran Standard. Humanity sleeps, not dies. Do not wake us. Varro stared at it for a long time. He played it again. The signal repeated. No coordinates, no sender. Just the warning, broadcast from deep beneath Mars. He forwarded it to Central. 3 hours later. Varro vanished. The report was filed under internal reassignment. But no one ever heard from him again. Counselor Naren of the Zaran Republic stood before the High Galactic Council 2 days later. Her voice was calm, her robes perfect, her face unreadable. But her eyes carried a quiet fear. There has been a transmission, she said. From the Sol system. Gasps echoed across the chamber. Representatives leaned forward. Even the robotic scribes paused their work. That system is marked extinct, growled a reptilian delegate from the Rune League. We scoured it centuries ago. Naren nodded. And yet, something speaks. She handed over a copy of the signal. The moment the council speaker read the line, the lights flickered. The signal had embedded itself into their system. Old Earth tech, incompatible with modern systems, but somehow stronger. A few counselors shifted uncomfortably. Is this a trick? Asked one. A remnant AI? A broken code? Naren shook her head. I don't know. But the source is clear. It comes from Mars, underground. Silence. Then a voice spoke from the shadows of the chamber. Send someone. All turned. It was Judge Keeper Lothan, a tall, pale figure dressed in the blue robes of the old Charter Order. They rarely spoke. They only enforced law. You suggest. We investigate Sol? Asked the speaker. Lothan nodded. Where there is a law, there may still be lawmakers. They sent a small research ship. Quiet, fast. Cloaked. Inside was a diplomatic observer, a Zarn named Selek. He had studied Terran. History as a hobby. Learned their languages. Read their old books, though most were lost or corrupted. He had always believed Earth was not truly dead. When his ship entered the Sol system, no one spoke. Mars hung red and cold. Its surface was dry, its colonies broken. The ruins of old machines lay scattered like bones. Say Lik landed near the last known Terran outpost Theta. The dust still carried old human markings. Words long erased from memory. He moved inside, his scanner flickering. And then he found it. A massive steel door, half buried under rubble. The scanner refused to read. It old Earth steel, laced with strange alloys. Still humming with faint power, Selek brushed the dust off. There, burned deep into the door in plasma-seared letters, was the same message. Humanity sleeps, not dies. Do not wake us. He reached for his comb, but before he could send anything, the door groaned. Not open. But moving. The symbols on it began to glow. Red at first, then blue. The floor trembled. Selek backed away. Heart pounding. A deep voice echoed from beneath the door. Mechanical. Cold. You were warned. His ship's systems went offline. Lights dead. Engines cold. Then the ground split behind him, and something huge moved under the surface of Mars. Salak ran. He barely made it back to the ship. Somehow, his escape systems rebooted. Just enough to launch him away. As he left Mars' orbit, he looked back. The dust clouds around the planet were swirling. Something was waking up. The council received his report in full. They laughed. At first. Some malfunction, said one. Old tech buried deep. Hallucination, said another. A virus in the system. Only Naren listened. Only Judge Keeper Lothan watched the footage again and again, because in the final seconds, as Selleck's ship rose above Mars, a shadow appeared. Not a ship, not a weapon, but a tower, black, steel, ancient. It had risen silently from Mars's crust, just before he escaped, and at its base, carved in giant Terran letters, Lex Humanitas Lon whispered, the law of humanity. No one understood what it meant, but the archives did, and somewhere, in the deepest layer of galactic records, a file unsealed itself. A treaty, long buried, never deleted. Written in human standard. It began with these words. Let it be known that should the Galactic Union erase our name from the stars, Earth will return not with fleets, but with law. Not with soldiers, but with truth. The council held an emergency session. Some wanted to destroy the system. Burn Sol down once, and for all. Others said to leave it be. Let sleeping ghosts lie. But it was too late. The signal from Mars had spread. Across Union space, small systems began receiving pings. Short, sharp messages, written in ancient code. Always the same message. Section 47 of the Human Charter has been activated. Legal priority, absolute. In one system, a trade route collapsed. Not by weapon, but by law. An old human treaty had just overridden current galactic commerce rules. Entire fleets were grounded. Legal enforcement bots, still functional after centuries, activated on forgotten moons and stations. No shots fired, but power was shifting. The galaxy had moved on from Earth, but Earth had never moved on. Earth had just been rewriting the rules, and now it was enforcing them. The Galactic Council tried to hide the truth, but rumors spread. They called them the Sleepers. Human-built AI systems, hidden across the galaxy, quietly waiting for some kind of signal. No one knew how many there were. No one knew when they would activate, but they all obeyed one thing, the law of humanity, signed, sealed, enforced. And it was spreading. One counselor finally asked, how can we fight this? And Judge Keeper Lothan answered, with understanding, or with surrender, because Earth had made one final law before its silence, and that law had no expiration. The signal didn't stop. After Mars spoke, the message began repeating across hundreds of relay satellites, even the ones thought to be dead. One by one, abandoned Terran beacons across old war zones came to life. They spoke in strange pulses, binary rhythms, and corrupted Earth code. The message was always the same. Humanity sleeps, not dies. Do not wake us. But something changed. Now, a second transmission followed. One that no one expected. It was not a warning. It was a file. An enormous one. It arrived inside the Council's main data core without any known entry path. Security. Systems didn't detect it. Firewalls never triggered. It was just there. And it was titled in two simple words. New Charter. Counselor Naren of the Zarn Republic was the first to open it. She expected a virus, maybe a manifesto. But what she found inside shocked her more than war. It was law, galactic law. Documents, treaties, and agreements, millions of them. Each one stamped with old Earth signatures. Some even bore names long believed to be mythical, like Alexis Prime and the Terran Accord. Many were laws that had been erased, overruled, or lost after Earth fell. But this file, it didn't just restore them, it rewrote them. The top of every page, in perfect legal language, was a seal, Lex Humanitas, enforced and eternal. Galactic Union had always believed their legal system was built on 1,000 species working together. But hidden deep in the new charter were clauses stating otherwise. One clause stood out most. In absence or silence of the human voice, all previous rights, powers, and protections remain active unless revoked by an authorized human authority. And then the final line. If humanity is declared extinct, then by default, its law becomes supreme until challenged by lawful Terran representation. It meant something terrifying by calling Earth extinct. The Union had activated ancient laws no one had noticed. Humanity hadn't vanished. They had written themselves into the code of the galaxy and then disappeared. On purpose, the Council tried to remove the file. They couldn't. No command worked. It had embedded itself into every database, every system tied to the Union's core structure. Not even full memory purges could erase it. And worse, ships began to receive orders from it. A cargo vessel in the Carroll system was rerouted by an ancient Earth beacon, citing Human Shipping Priority Act 143A. The crew ignored it. 3 days later, the ship vanished. No distress call, only silence. Soon, other strange things happened. Old mining drones, thought lost in asteroid belts, activated and began drilling. They followed instructions from the new charter. Even Union ships were unable to stop them. The drones were protected by codes that ranked higher than current Union protocols. On every galactic terminal, a new phrase appeared in system logs. By Article 9 of the Terran Legacy, this space is regulated. Counselors panicked. They didn't understand. But one old historian did. His name was Merrick Tall, a quiet scholar. He had studied Earth law before the collapse. No one listened to him much until now. He stood before the Council, nervous but steady. "This is not a threat," he said. "It's worse. It's a return." "Return of what?" someone asked. "Of order," Merrick replied. "Of structure." The humans knew their time was ending. They knew they couldn't survive open war. So they did something terrifying. They made sure that even in extinction, they would win. The room fell silent. "By law?" A Loric diplomat hissed. Merrick nodded. "Yes, not by ships, not by weapons, but by contracts. By hidden clauses, ancient rules, and unbreakable code. They built a web that couldn't be erased. One that waits. One that activates only when someone tries to erase them." The Council speaker stood. "And now?" Merrick spoke the truth no one wanted to hear. "Now it's too late." Ships across the galaxy found themselves unable to dock at certain ports. Weapons refused. To fire on stations suddenly marked as Terran-protected sites. AI assistance on Union planets began reading fragments of the new charter aloud randomly, like they were being forced. A massive Union trade center on the moon of Velta shut down overnight. A black box had arrived at its gate. When opened, it played a human voice message from centuries ago. "Your license has expired under Terran Code 778B. This facility is now in breach of interstellar law." The center's doors sealed. Inside. No one could get out. Hours later, the entire building vanished in a flash of white light. No explosion. Just gone. On Earth, nothing moved. No response. No voice. No confirmation. But under the surface of Mars, more towers began to rise. Black. Silent. Yet each one pulsed with strange energy. Ships sent to investigate, disappeared. Only one message came back. Terran. Legal enforcement beacon online. Sector enforced. Galactic law was crumbling, not because of war, but because a dead race had declared the rules. And the rules were obeying. In the deep void, near a shattered Terran colony, an I-fragment-activated dot, it had one task dot to confirm if a human authority still existed. Dot it found one, not on Earth, but in a hidden satellite, floating between galaxies. Human.old, cryogenically frozen.alive. And carrying the one thing no one expected. Terran Legal Identity Code, ACTIVE? He didn't speak, but his mere presence meant one thing. Human law still had voice, and that voice was waking up. The Union sent a scout ship. Just one. They didn't want to cause panic, but they needed answers. What was happening across the stars? Why were laws being overwritten? Why did the systems obey ancient human codes? The ship was named Falrans. Spear, small, agile, fast. It carried a crew of 12, mostly military analysts and AI security techs. They were told this was just a data retrieval mission to the edge of the Sol system, but they knew the truth. They were being sent to confirm if Earth was waking up, or worse, never slept at all. Captain Lara Voss stood quietly at the bridge window. Ahead of her, the red sands of Mars glowed like fire beneath the stars. It looked so calm from orbit, dead, cold, but she knew what the reports had said. Rising towers, phantom signals, unbreakable codes, and ships that vanished without trace. Still, she wasn't afraid. Not yet. Her ship slipped into a stable orbit above Mars. Drones launched. Scanners went out. Everything was quiet at first. No movement. No heat signatures. No energy surges. Then one of the analysts gasped. "Captain, I've found something." The screen flickered. There it was. A massive structure buried just beneath. The surface. Hexagonal in shape. Miles wide. An active dot. It wasn't new. It was old. Very old. And it was pulsing. Voss leaned forward. "What's that symbol there?" The analyst zoomed in. Burned into the surface was a mark. A human emblem. The Terran flag, cracked but still proud, 5 stars above a rising Earth. And underneath it, a single word. Judgment. They sent a drone down. It didn't return. Then. They sent a second. This one made it inside. Its camera flickered, its signal weak. But for a few seconds, the feed showed something no one expected. Rows of statues, not made of stone, but armor. Human. ARMORBLACK angular. Burned dots standing upright in formation, as if ready to march. Thousands of them. The drone froze. Then a sound came through, low, metallic, steady, like breathing, and a voice. "Observe no further." The feed died. So did the lights on the ship. Falran's spear went completely dark. Engines offline. Gravity gone. Lights out. The crew scrambled. Nothing responded. Backup power didn't work. Weapons failed. Even emergency signals couldn't escape. They were stuck. Then something massive passed outside the window. At first, they thought it was an asteroid, but it moved. Too smoothly. No heat. No drive trail. Silent. It floated beside them like a shadow. Black, angular, taller than their entire ship. No markings. No visible windows. Then came the second, and the third, and the fourth, surrounding them. A wall of black. Ships, each one with edges like blades and hulls so dark they swallowed the stars. "Captain." Voss tried to hail them. No response. Then a new signal arrived, directly into the ship's memory core. It wasn't a message. It was a file. Video. They played it. It showed their ship Falran's spear, from an outside angle, caught in a web. of targeting lines. The human voice that followed was cold, robotic, ancient. You violate Terran-controlled airspace. You carry active systems incompatible with enforced law. Surrender vessel. Await judgment. Panic swept through the crew. But before they could respond, everything turned white. 3 hours later, the Fowran Spear reappeared near a Deep Space Union listening post. No damage, no marks, but no signal. Every system was wiped. Every memory core. Blank. And the crew? Gone. All 12. Missing. Only one thing remained etched into the ship's main console with a plasma cutter. Return the stolen law or face extinction. The council was forced to respond. They called it an act of war, but no one could. Trace the attackers. No known species matched the ship design. No code matched the language style. And no one, not even the brightest Union minds, could override the message embedded in the wrecked ship's memory. The council asked, "What do they mean by stolen law?" No one had an answer, except one. Judge Keeper Low then. He stood before the council again, quiet, his expression hard. "They mean you stole it," he said. The speaker turned toward him. "Explain." Lothan raised an old datapad. 200 years ago, after Earth fell, the Council removed all remaining Terran legal structures, replaced them with Union charters, erased treaties, overrode history, and Lothan looked up, and the law didn't forget. It waited. Across the galaxy, fear spread faster than light. More ghost ships were seen hovering silently outside trade stations, never attacking, just watching. Wherever they appeared, systems failed. Laws changed. Union orders were rejected by old Earth Enforcement A is ones no one remembered building. Ports locked. Shields dropped. Military assets were grounded by ancient safety codes that couldn't be bypassed. But it wasn't war. It was enforcement. Terran enforcement. And the message repeated in every system they appeared. Human law activated. Prepare for review. The galaxy had prepared for human weapons, but it wasn't ready for this. Not for black ships that didn't fire. Not for codes older than empires. Not for a species that ruled through law. And somewhere, in the deep silence of Earth's orbit, a voice finally spoke through an old satellite. This is Section 1. Humanity is not finished. Review begins now. The Galactic Council was supposed to be the most secure place in the galaxy. It was a fortress of knowledge, power, and law. Located in the heart of Union space, orbiting the star-rich core of the galaxy, it was shielded by dozens of fleets and guarded by the best AI security ever created. Nothing got in. Nothing. Until one night. Someone did. Started with the lights. Flickering. Then the temperature dropped. Counselor Braun of the Jurex Collective noticed it first. He tapped his console. It didn't respond. The chamber dimmed. Other counselors turned their heads. What is this? Someone asked. Then, one by one, the room's floating holograms shut down. Screens blacked out. Language translators stopped mid-sentence. The council had gone dark. No alarms. No voice from Central AI. Just silence. And in that silence came a sound. A click. Then another. Dozens. Like footsteps, slow, metal, deliberate, walking across steel. Counselors stood. Some pulled weapons. Others activated personal shields. But it was no use. A pale blue light lit up the center of the chamber. Not from the ceiling. From below. The floor glowed. Symbols rose. Terran symbols. Then a voice. It did not speak loudly. It didn't have to, because it echoed directly inside their minds. You erased the founders. The voice was male, calm, cold. You claimed the seat of law. A shimmer formed in the light. A figure, not a man, not a machine, but something in between. He wore black robes, outlined in silver threads. No face, only a smooth steel mask cracked across one side. His chest bore a glowing symbol, an ancient Terran justice scale. The council guards tried to attack. Their weapons jammed. One of the guards exploded in a burst of white mist. No blast, no beam, just gone. The others stopped. Frozen in fear. The figure stepped forward. "I am Judge Juridical Unit for Galactic Enforcement." "Eh? I?" a counselor whispered. The figure turned to him slowly. "More than AI, less than human. All that remains of your law." No one moved. The figure raised one hand. A hologram appeared, showing the list of all active council members. Red lines slashed through names. Counselor Braun gasped. His name was one of them. "You signed the Order of Erasure 213 years ago," the voice said. "You voted to delete humanity from official memory. I didn't understand what that vote meant. You erased a founding member of the Union. That act is classified as high treason under Article 0. Braun backed away. "I didn't mean to, but it was too late." The lights flashed once, and Counselor Braun was gone. His chair emptied. No sound, no struggle. Just erased, the council screamed. Some tried to run. Doors didn't open. The figure turned slowly. "This is not war. This is correction. You erased truth. Now truth erases you." The figure vanished. The systems came back online. But half the council was missing. Not dead. Just deleted. Records wiped. Personal logs gone. Family files vanished. It was like they had never existed. Even the AI memory of them failed. Judge Keeper Lothan stood in the silence, unmoving. His eyes burned with something old. Recognition. He knew the name Judge. Long ago, before the collapse, Earth created special AI constructs. Not to rule. To enforce. They were built to live forever. To wake only if Terran law was violated, and someone had triggered them. Now the galaxy had no idea what it faced. The next day, in every council database, a new folder appeared. It was locked. Encrypted. But the title was clear. Trial of the Galactic Council, in progress. Inside were names. Thousands. Fleet leaders, senators, union judges, corporate heads. Each one had a countdown next to it. Days. Hours. Minutes. A trial was coming. But no one was invited. No one could stop it, because the courtroom was already here, and the judge had arrived. More chaos followed. Entire planets lost control of their laws. Local governments woke up to find they had been disbanded under Section 77. No one knew what Section 77 was, but it overrode every modern command system. Union law enforcers were powerless. Their weapons jammed. Their security locks refused commands. In some places, robots marched out of old, rusted stations speaking Terran legal codes like they had never stopped running. And in all corners of the galaxy, black ships watched in silence. The Terran enforcers were not attacking. They were reviewing. Observing. Judging. One Union admiral tried to rally a fleet and head toward Earth. The fleet vanished. Mid-jump. Their emergency beacon sent one final message. A single line. Unauthorized military movement detected. Trial concluded. Now, whispers filled the galaxy. People didn't say Earth was back. They said Earth had never left. It had just become the law itself, and the law remembered everything. In the private chambers of Judge Keeper Lothan, something else woke. A terminal flashed, an old one, buried under dust. He hadn't touched it in years, but now it pulsed with blue light. A new message had arrived. One sentence. In human language. "You were one of us once. You remember. Now choose." And underneath, two buttons. Accept jurisdiction. Reject jurisdiction. Lothan stared at them. The council was crumbling. Terran law had returned, and the galaxy had one final chance. Obey, or be erased. The Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Union was silent. Too silent. Ambassadors from 100 worlds sat in their shining seats, each waiting, watching. Some looked nervous. Some looked smug. And others were scared. At the center of the room stood High Chancellor Velrix of the Yatari Dominion, his long arms folded behind him, his scales shimmering in gold ceremonial robes. They were given centuries, Velrix spoke coldly, to join the Union, to follow our laws, to bow like all others, and yet Earth stayed silent. The screens behind him flickered. Footage of Earth's abandoned cities played, forests growing over steel, empty oceans, quiet continents. They are extinct, Velrix said, narrowing his glowing eyes. Their silence proves it. The room murmured. A soft voice interrupted the silence. They're not extinct. All heads turned. The speaker was Ambassador Relin of the Nkaya Small, quiet race known for neutrality. Hissed. What proof do you have? Relin stood, his thin arms trembling. Because last cycle, a ship appeared. No identification. No life signs. But it moved like no other vessel we've seen. Faster than our fastest scouts. And when we tried to scan it, he paused. Our systems burned out. Melted. Just like that. The hall went quiet again. Velrix laughed. A ghost ship? That is your proof of humanity? No, Relin whispered, voice growing firm. That was a warning. Suddenly, one of the central screens glitched. Not by malfunction, by override. A symbol appeared. A circle. 2 vertical lines down the center. Ancient, forgotten, human. Gasps filled the chamber. Even Velrix stepped back. Then the message came. A voice. Human. Calm. Cold. We heard your vote. We saw your declarations. You assumed we were. Gone. You were wrong. The voice paused, and then came the words that shifted the galaxy's balance. Your laws are broken. The treaty is void. We will write new ones. The screen went black. Panic spread instantly. Some ambassadors shouted for retreat. Others demanded war. Velrix roared, smashing his podium. But it was too late. Earth had spoken. And now, everyone had to listen. Meanwhile, in a hidden star system, far beyond Union borders, a single figure sat aboard a station deep in orbit around a dead world. It was Commander Naira, one of the last Terran watchers. Her hair was silver, her eyes cold and sharp. She watched the broadcast replay again, leaning back in her chair. Behind her, rows of ancient Terran ships powered up, machines that had been sleeping for hundreds of years. A low hum filled the station. Lights came alive. Codes booted. Weapons activated. Earth was waking up its fleet. Time to remind the galaxy, Naira whispered, why we left in the first place. She turned. And activated the final sequence. Above Earth's surface, long-lost orbital platforms reappeared decloaking. Silently, some were weapons, some were archives, but one was a throne, not for ruling, but for rewriting everything the galaxy thought it knew. The treaty was broken. Now, humanity would write the next one in steel and fire. The stars moved, not in their natural, slow paths, but suddenly, unnaturally. Captain Narin stood on the dark bridge of the Resolve. The ship had drifted in silence for hours, sensors off, stealth fields active. But now, deep in the black between systems, something had changed. Captain, whispered Ensign Darrow, you should look at this. Narin turned, eyes tired, and walked to the side console. He saw it instantly. 3 stars, nearby mapped. Stable for centuries. But one had just shifted. Slightly. That wasn't possible. Are we sure it's a star? Narin asked. Darrow swallowed. We confirmed it twice. But, sir, it's moving. Not orbiting. Not drifting. It's changing position by force. Naren frowned. Get me a deep scan. The bridge crew worked in tense silence. Moments later, the results came. It's not a star, whispered Darrow. It's a ship. No one spoke. Even Naren, hardened by the war, by Earth's fall, by humanity's exile, felt a chill in his spine. This thing was no ordinary warship. It was the size of a small moon, burning with energy beyond anything modern tech could measure. Zoom in, Naren ordered. The screen adjusted. And there it was. A dark, black object outlined by swirling red energy. At its center was something that looked like a human symbol, an old Terran law seal stamped in silver across its hull. Is that real? Asked one of the engineers. Is that from Earth? No, Darrow replied. That's from before Earth's exile. That's old Earth. Galactic age, Naren's mind raced. Earth was supposed to be broken. Humanity was scattered, barely, holding on to their distant colonies. The Council thought the species was done. But now, this thing moved between stars like a god, and it carried the law of old Earth on its skin. What if, Naren muttered, they didn't erase us? What if they awoke us? The rest of the crew stared. Suddenly, a flash of light, another star shifted. A second massive object appeared, then a third, all moving silently, deliberately. Captain, shouted the pilot. They're positioning themselves around Sector 17. That's a Council stronghold. Contact command, Naren snapped. No response. Something's jamming everything. One by one, the stars moved into place like chess pieces. And then they stopped. The silence in space was deeper than ever. But the Resolve's sensors suddenly picked up a signal. A single audio, file. Crackling. Ancient. Then a voice. Law of Terra. Article 1. Right of return. Engaged. Then silence again. Darrow's hands shook. What the hell does that mean? Naren whispered. It means humanity's back. In Council Hall Prime, far from the scene, the ruling species had already sensed something wrong. The sky above there. World darkened, comms failing. Satellites crashing. An emergency meeting began, but it was already too late. One of the black ships had reached orbit. It spoke only once, in thousands of languages. You judged humanity unworthy. But now, you stand trial. Back aboard the Resolve, Captain Naren looked at the stars with new eyes. The silence of Earth was over. The laws they used to suppress humanity, now humanity would rewrite them. With fire, with truth, and with the power no one remembered. But everyone would fear again. The chamber lights dimmed. Every council member turned toward the giant viewing screen in the center. A massive shadow blocked out the stars again. But this time, it wasn't just one human ship. It was a fleet. 30 colossal vessels, each more terrifying than the next, drifted forward from the edge of Council space. Each ship carried weapons not seen in any known archive. The ships had no flags, no names. But one thing was clear. They were human. And they were angry. Ambassador Rellan of the Soldari stood frozen. His throat felt dry, and his hands trembled. Are they ... declaring war? He whispered. No message yet, his aide replied nervously. They are silent, just like before. The silence of Earth had returned. But now, it was louder than any weapon. In the command bridge of the lead ship named Unbroken Captain. Mara Ellen watched the galactic feed. She didn't smile. She didn't blink. She simply gave one order, broadcast the recording. They must remember. The ship's AI pushed the signal across the galaxy. The council chamber screens blinked and changed. Old, lost footage began to play. It showed Earth's fall. It showed the betrayal. Every race that had once been all eyes, turning away as Earth burned. Some laughed, some stayed silent. Others took what they wanted from Earth's ruins technology. Resources, even people. They thought humans were gone forever. The footage then changed. It showed Earth rising again slowly, painfully. In secret places. In voids no one dared to look. It showed the first human ship built after the fall. It showed the training of orphan children into soldiers, engineers, thinkers, and leaders. Then it showed something new. A hidden message. A law. Not just a law of humans, but a rewrite of the very foundation of galactic order. Written in fire. Counselor. Vex of the Drucker swallowed hard. They mean to replace us. No, said the human AI's voice, suddenly taking over the chamber's speakers. We mean to make it fair. The walls trembled. This council was built on lies. On silence. On power hoarded by the few while the many suffer. We remember Earth's screams. We remember your silence. One of the council elders tried to shut the transmission. Nothing happened. The system had been hijacked. You thought we were finished, the AI said. But we listened. We learned. And now we speak. With law. With ships. With truth. Every corner of the galaxy, every moon, station, and ship was watching now. The humans weren't just back. They were in control. In the chambers. The silence was unbearable. Until Counselor Hyrak, the oldest among them, stood up slowly and asked, Then what do you want from us? Captain Mara answered. Her face appeared now on every screen. We want justice. We want change. And we want it now. She stepped closer to the console. If not, the law will be rewritten with blood. Then she ended the broadcast. The human fleet waited. Not attacking. Not retreating. Not just watching. Waiting for the council to answer before they made their own. The stars had turned red. Not from war, but from what followed after. Across the galaxy, councils collapsed. The old rulers, who once laughed at Earth's fall, now begged for survival. But humanity wasn't interested in revenge anymore. It was focused on something far greater, rewriting the laws that once chained them. The Galactic Concord sat in emergency session. The chamber was cold and quiet, like it remembered the last time a human stood here and burned the old ways to ash. Now, a human stood again. Not a soldier, not a general. A woman in simple black Admiral Sora Gray. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. You watched us die, then watched us return. And still you tried to hold on to your throne of fear. The old Counselor Theros tried to interrupt. Earth cannot declare laws for the galaxy. We don't declare, Sora said calmly. We prove. She stepped back, and the screen behind her came alive. Not warships. Not weapons. Ideas. Human tech. Free energy engines. Healing AI. Terraforming drones. Civilian starpaths that could turn barren rocks into homes. 1,000 solutions the galaxy had long abandoned in favor of control and hierarchy. One by one, the delegates rose from their seats. Some screamed. Some wept. And then some knelt. For the first time in history, planets not conquered by war fell willingly under a human-led system. A council made of species, not empires. A law written not in threat, but in unity. In orbit, the last Earth fleet. Rewritten Vanguard stood by. It didn't need to fire anymore. It simply watched. SOR turn toward the stars and whispered, Let this be the last time power stood above people. And with that, the galactic rewrite began. Humanity, once silenced, had not only spoken, they changed everything. Forever.